Hello, this is Ryuhaerang Choi. We introduce FoodCensor, promoting mindful digital food content consumption for people with eating disorders. Digital food content, including cooking demonstrations, restaurant reviews, and culinary travel shows, is increasingly popular. Known for their captivating visuals and immersive sounds, this digital content has been recognized for its addictive qualities. In addition, the omnipresence of such content has raised alarms due to their potential contribution to problematic eating habits and dietary health. This pervasive exposure often fosters unconscious consumption habits, potentially exacerbating unhealthy eating patterns, especially among individuals struggling with eating disorders. The behavior of consuming digital food content closely aligns with the principles of dual systems theory, which poses two distinct cognitive systems. System 1, characterized by a swift, automatic response rooted in habits and instincts. An example is habitually opening social media apps. System 2, associated with slower, more reflective thinking based on conscious goals and rational analysis. This includes a goal-oriented reflection to overcome habitual responses or temptations. Here's an illustrative scenario describing how engaging in digital food content follows dual systems theory. Consider Taylor, who is dealing with bulimia and often finds themselves drawn to watching food-related content on YouTube. When Taylor encounters a video about making a tempting dessert, they are immediately drawn in by interest and curiosity, a reaction driven by System 1 through the intensive visuals and sensory stimuli. Yet Taylor aims to regulate their consumption of digital food content, aware that it can sometimes trigger eating disorder behaviors such as binge eating. This represents the influence of System 2. As Taylor debates watching the video, they navigate their thought process within the extended dual systems model of self-regulation. Here, the concept of the expected value of control, a crucial aspect of System 2, plays a role. Taylor assesses the possible consequences of their choice. Watching the video might provide immediate pleasure, but could hinder progress toward their health objectives. This reflection, facilitated by System 2, allows Taylor to consider the immediate pleasure against the long-term benefits of sticking to their dietary plans. The outcomes of encountering the food-related content are nuanced. If Taylor's instinctual response governed by System 1 dominates, it may lead to unhealthy eating habits. Conversely, suppose the System 2's influence takes over and Taylor decides against watching the video. In that case, they exercise self-control, improve their ability to resist impulsive tendencies, and align their actions with their health goals. This demonstrates how the interplay between System 1 and System 2 and the idea of the expected value of control influence decision-making in response to digital food content, underscoring the intervention's design objectives to assist individuals like Taylor in making mindful and healthier decisions against the backdrop of digital food content automatic allure. Following this narrative of digital food content consumption within the framework of dual systems theory, the intervention's design goals to help individuals break free from the addictive and habitual viewing of digital food content are: first, prevent non-conscious habitual digital food content watching and support self-awareness of this habitual behavior. Second, strengthening the conscious goal, consuming digital food content mindfully in this case, and weigh the expected value of control over their consumption habit. In detail, we employ passive censorship to interrupt automatic engagement with digital food content on platforms like YouTube. This censorship serves as a cognitive signal, encouraging users to actively seek out and unveil obscured content, thus shifting from System 1's reflective reactions to System 2's deliberate assessment. This method fosters awareness of digital food content exposure without completely halting the automatic response. In addition, to support individuals in making deliberate decisions about digital food content consumption, we introduce an intervention that underscores the potential adverse impacts of eating disorder behaviors. This approach aims to encourage reflective thinking and highlight the expected value of control, thereby strengthening the role of system 2 in the decision-making process. FoodCensor is implemented as an Android app for mobile devices and a Chrome extension for personal computers. In this presentation, we'll briefly overview how we developed the FoodCensor Android app. FoodCensor accessed YouTube's UI components using the Android Accessibility API. Through this, we pinpointed 11 distinct pages and 12 features on YouTube where digital food content might appear. After reading the UI components, FoodCensor evaluates the text descriptions to determine whether they relate to food. This assessment is conducted through a simple word search in dictionaries we developed for our own. Through this approach, FoodCensor achieves detection accuracy of over 79%. FoodCensor overlays a black cover on the corresponding UI component when a text description is identified as food-related. Additionally, the sounds are muted simultaneously if food content is being played. For more details on the implementation, please refer to our paper. We recruited 22 individuals with eating disorders through an announcement in online social support communities with the moderator's consent. We designed a 3-week field study for 2 user groups, control and experimental groups. We aim to uncover differences in exposure to digital food content videos, perceived changes in digital food content consumption, and disordered eating behaviors between groups with and without FoodCensor. In addition, we employed a within-subject design to observe changes in these measures over the field study period. In a quasi-experimental design, participants were divided into control and experimental groups based on their eating disorder symptoms and demographics. Before the field study, participants completed a preliminary survey. During the field study, FoodCensor intervened in users' digital food content consumption from the 2nd week of the study period, but only for the experimental group. After the field study, we asked all participants to complete a post-survey and conducted semi-structured interviews with all participants via Zoom. Note that all phases of our study were conducted remotely due to the high social stigma of eating disorders. I'd share key findings from our user study. The figure illustrates that in the experimental group, there was a significant decrease in the consumption of food content over the weeks. On the other hand, in the control group, we did not observe any specific trend regarding food content consumption. This suggests that the introduction of FoodCensor led to a meaningful reduction in viewing food-related videos among participants, highlighting its potential efficacy in mitigating exposure to such content among individuals with eating disorders. As the food video consumption decreased in the experimental group, we noticed a corresponding reduction in the number of suggested food videos on YouTube when FoodCensor was employed. The figure depicts the proportion of suggested food videos per week in both the control and experimental groups. The middle blue bars represent all suggested food videos, including those covered by FoodCensor and those not. When we focus solely on the suggested videos shown to users, the decrease in the experimental group becomes even more pronounced. In contrast, the control group exhibited an increase in suggested food videos. This indicates that FoodCensor effectively reduced the exposure to suggested food videos on YouTube for participants in the experimental group. The decrease in digital food content consumption observed in our study was facilitated by self-reflection and increased the self-awareness of unconscious consumption habits increased by FoodCensor. For example, participants noted that the black covers overlaying the food content prompted them to reflect on their behaviors. Participant 13 described how she questioned whether she truly wanted to watch the food content and realized that she didn't. Furthermore, participant 18 remarked that the reflective questions provided by FoodCensor heightened their awareness of their food content searches. The development of self-awareness and self-reflection effectively curbed unconscious habitual consumption of digital food content. For instance, participant 20 remarked that the visual restriction imposed by FoodCensor on food videos helped her abstain from watching them. Consequently, she now feels less reliant on such content. Furthermore, participant 19 highlighted how the negative consequences associated with binge eating provided by FoodCensor upon searching for food-related content prompted her to exit the YouTube app. These anecdotes underscore the importance of fostering self-awareness and promoting reflection to mitigate automatic consumption behaviors. The practice of mindful content consumption ultimately contributes to preventing the development of eating disorder symptoms. Participants in our study reported that by refraining from watching digital food content, they experienced a reduction in obsessive thoughts about food, leading to an overall improvement in their life quality. Furthermore, participants highlighted that FoodCensor effectively prevented binge eating and purging behaviors triggered by watching food videos. These insights emphasize the importance of promoting mindful consumption habits and the potential of interventions like FoodCensor in mitigating the onset of eating disorder symptoms. Based on our research findings, we discussed an adaptive intervention strategy to balance engagement and self-control regarding potentially problematic digital content. FoodCensor is designed to preserve users' autonomy by assisting them in making informed decisions rather than simply blocking food content. Our qualitative analysis underscores how FoodCensor empowers users to consciously opt for healthier choices in their digital food content consumption. Moving forward, FoodCensor could be further enhanced by incorporating adaptability to individuals staging in the trans-theoretical model of behavior change. This would allow for a more personalized and effective intervention tailored to each user's needs and readiness to change. Specifically, during the pre-contemplation stage, where individuals may not yet recognize the negative consequences of their behavior, interventions could concentrate on raising awareness through informative content and subtle nudges towards self-reflection. For individuals in the contemplation and determination stages who acknowledge that their behavior may be problematic and express an intention to change, FoodCensor could integrate designs to motivate them to voluntarily change their habitual digital food content consumption behavior. One approach could be sharing stories of individuals who've successfully changed their habits of consuming digital food content. By witnessing others' experiences, users may feel inspired and motivated to take action to change their behavior. During the action and maintenance stages, FoodCensor could undergo further refinement by reducing the frequency of interventions. This approach aims to assist users in gradually reducing their reliance on external control systems and fostering the development of self-control. And as the stages of change are cyclic, features that help prevent individuals from relapsing into problematic behaviors are essential. Here's the summary of our contributions. First, we developed FoodCensor, a digital food content monitoring system for Android devices and the Google Chrome web browser. Our technology could be leveraged to track and support other types of content consumption. Second, we designed an intervention system that solves the potential connection between sensory cues in food content and disordered eating behaviors. Third, we conducted a 3-week-long field study with people with eating disorders, and our findings indicate FoodCensor encourages awareness of potential problematic habitual behaviors and the benefits of changing such behaviors. Finally, based on our findings, we discussed the design of adaptive interventions and user-centric content moderation approaches to enact behavior changes. Please find more information on our project website, and we welcome any questions. Thank you.